ask. My parents always say ask questions, but I always felt pressure coming against the question. Like if I ask a question, it's like all of a sudden. You remember in what's that Leonardo DiCaprio movie when they Inception, when they're in the dream and they bring too much attention to themselves and everybody just. That's how I felt asking questions.
Welcome to another episode of As a Man Readeth. This is Trey D.
And good man.
Series episodes. It is the Four Agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz. I think it is something that probably a good majority of people, well, no, I won't say that because a majority of people don't read, but readers have read this book. Readers have read this book, and I'm excited to share it, talk about it. Well, boy, Goose, how you been, man?
Hey, I've been good, man.
What you drinking? What's in your tea? First off, it look like you drinking some tea.
Well, this episode is brought to you by Mud Water.
On both sides. Hey. On both sides. There it is.
Wow.
So I did mine, and you did yours straight out.
Well, I made it into a latte.
You did a latte, oat milk, almond milk, or something else.
Oat milk. Well, almond. It's a combination of almond and walnut and flaxseed because I make my own milk.
Yeah. So you know what I was going to do? Side note, I was going to start making my own milk too because I was thinking about it. I know I could just take almond butter, mix it in some water, almond milk. I know we don't do it's literally that simple because it's already processed, and I can add a little vanilla extract, of course. But that's basically it. It's basically three quick ingredients, and I got my milk because the almond butter is already done for you. It's like boom, boom, milk. The water, let it run, it's ready to go. So this is I'm doing Planta. Shout out to Ambrosia Collective. Mud water in here, a scoop of that, and just a little almond milk, straight up, 3 ingredients.
Okay. And it's cold. It is on the sweeter side, or is it just like
it's not crazy sweet. What I like about Planta proteins, man, is it's not extra sweet, but it from a sugar standpoint, it tastes really good, and it's a plant protein. So no wheat, no whey, no casein, all that good stuff. It is brown rice and pea. Let's get into this book, man. Let's get into this book. First off, Four Agreements. We've read this before. We thought it would be a good opportunity to bring it back to the podcast. Quick question to start us off. Like, what was your first, when we start thinking about the Four Agreements, your first reaction, like the first couple of chapters? What's going through your mind as you rock it through?
Initially, like the wisdom, like the Toltec wisdom and who these people were and are. And I was like, man, this is okay. This is legit. Again, it was one of those things where I empty my cup and I say, let me see if I get any bullshit. First of all, like this thing like BS, and the whole domestication process. I said, okay, yep. This is hitting right on the head. Asking questions since I was young about why do we do these things and why do we do these things. People will say, well, just ask. My parents always say ask questions, but I always felt pressure coming against the question. Like if I ask a question, it's like all of a sudden. You remember in what's that Leonardo DiCaprio movie when they Inception, when they're in the dream and they bring too much attention to themselves and everybody just. That's how I felt asking questions. Growing up.
I get that. Yeah, it's interesting to kind of watch, to read him talk about the domestication and the slapping of the hands, so to speak. Like that's not what you do. That's not how you perform. And so you start chasing after not getting punished.
Yes.
Right. He talk about, not necessarily getting the reward or not getting punished. And I thought that was you're going after the reward or just not getting punished. I think that's really important. I think that was like, yep, a lot of us are doing that. But he also comes in and he hits us with I started immediately thinking about us trying to be safe all the time.
Right.
How people just try to be safe and try to make sure that we just don't break the rules. Don't break the rules.
Don't break the
Even the
goddamn.
rules that we've made up in our own head. Don't break the rules. And I think that's that's what hit me in the beginning. And it's just such a great book to start.
Yeah, man. He says in there, he says one single agreement is not such a problem. And he's saying that in the context is he says there are thousands of agreements you have made with yourself, with other people, with your dream of life, with God, with society, with your parents, with your spouse, with your children. But the most important agreements are the ones you made with yourself. In these agreements, you tell yourself who you are, what you feel, what you believe, and how to behave. The result is what you call your personality. This is funny to me because I heard Jordan Peterson. He was stating he couldn't tell the difference, or he says he was investigating the difference between personality and gender because he said it seemed very similar. Now, I don't want to get into that discussion per se, but when I heard this, I was like, there it is. You know, as far as it's not necessarily you think a thought and you feel a feeling. You actually, it's not only that you've made an agreement to yourself without even recognizing it. It's almost like we've cast these spells without even knowing.
Yeah. He hits it with the, he talks about spells a lot, which goes into the word. Oh man, here we go. If you followed us before, if you watched our podcast, you know, one of the things we talk, you know, there's one episode I think I had a whole little moment talking about how powerful the word is. And we went through that. Yes. And I think it just came back around again. And then we think about, when we were talking about, when we read, Science of Getting Rich, the word is ever powerful.
Right.
The word, we think in words, we think in speech, we think in sounds, yes, but we're also thinking in words. We're thinking in speech. And so if we go back to Wallace, you know, and we go back to when we were talking through First John 1, it's just like starts there, the word became, and it's like, it's right there. But he also, when he talks about spells, he talks about black magic and white magic, good magic and bad magic, and how bad magic can put you in a place where you can really destroy and create a whole detour for someone's life based upon how you speak. Keeping that in mind that's how you would do to yourself as well, how you're speaking to yourself. And I think it's just a powerful book, just a powerful book. So being impeccable with your word was key.
That's the first agreement. No, yes. So what I'm saying is I want to piggyback off what you said. I've noticed who I am more when I talk to my spouse or if I talk to my loved ones. That's when the true me is really at display. What I mean is when I'm around other people, I big them up, show them love. It's like I'm on. I have to be this thing that I'm practicing. And then when we lay down at home and just, that's when your true self emerges. And I noticed that because my lady just told me the other day, she says, I hear you saying all these good things about you and your friends and creating these platforms and podcasts and shows and stand-up, whatever it may be. But with me, it's always what we can be improving. And I was like, but everything else is cool. So there's part of the story I won't tell because now I realize why. Okay, so basically we were scaling the relationship. What do we have our relationship scale? 1 to 10. She placed it higher than I did. At least by 3 points. So if she said 10, I said 7. If she said 8, I said 5. It was just lower than what she said. And so your ass. I know. Yeah, and that's what she said. She said, just remember that. I don't know if you know that.
She love your ass. You need to remember, I love your ass. That's what she telling you right now.
You know what she said? She says, if you forget anything, if you got to remember one thing, remember that you love me. Remember that. And I was like, you're right. You are right. So But that's deep though, because it hit me. Because when we were saying we were about to, do this book today, and I going back through it, being impeccable with your word. I said, my God, I need to do better. I need to be better. I am better. You see? So,
Yeah.
But that shout out to my lady.
You just did something. Did you do that on purpose?
No, but I did.
You caught it.
I did it as I realized it. Because if I put myself in lack, then I'm going to stay in that lack. I need to do better means I'm always needing to do versus saying I am the thing.
Yeah. It's a confirmation of where you are in the lack that you feel that you're in right now, without recognizing that you are so already better than you were yesterday.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And
I'm better. I'm better. It's a good place to be and staying present as possible. Love. I mean, definitely one of the first agreement being impeccable with your word. It is we would say the most important agreement, because everything stems from the words and your thoughts and so on. Even though you're missing the mark, but being really careful of how you speak, which I think we're going to get to it at one point when we get to 12 Rules by Jordan Peterson. We'll look out for those episodes, but tell the truth or at least don't lie. That's one of the rules in JP's book. So we'll talk about that at that point. But yeah, I think the other person, I think for me personally, when he talks about being impeccable, I think that's impeccable with the word. I think that's been really important. You brought up something about like when you are out, you are a certain way. You putting that shit on. Hey, I'm Gooseby. We outside. Let's get it.
Right.
And I try to do that sometimes too. I think that's just exhausting. And I feel that, man. But I also think for some reason, I think it's because of like your vocation, man. And like you are, you're an actor by trade. That is you. So I wonder sometimes, it could be do you find yourself like, so I know I have like what we call a mutable personality. I can basically move in different ways. I can be quiet over here, or I can be, whatever, like crazy rambunctious over on one side, depending on the environment that's necessary and how comfortable I feel. But at one point, I remember I had my first coach. One of the things that my coach told me was basically, Trey, you live in two different lives. And as soon as you align those into one, everything's going to work out. And she was absolutely right. I remember this distinctly because it was June 2000. I was thinking about transitioning into some new work. I started my company back then, man. And as you know, like we've known each other pretty much. I've evolved for years. But think about it. You've seen me do work. You've seen me not do work. I'm pretty much the same dude. And I think that's been really cool. So I felt, I was like, being impeccable with the word and at least standing on what you believe or like who you are, that's going to be your foundation. I think that's been really important for me. So on my personal side, that'll be it. Any challenges you see like people facing with this word though? Because I know what challenge did you come to mind for you? Because I was like, oh man, you see this all the time.
Well, yeah, the words are very important to me is what I happen to realize. Man, this can go so many different ways.
Okay.
But I'll start from just me personally. Like when you say I live in two different lives, my goal is to be me all the time. And so what I realize is I rather fail at home than out in these streets. That's one. So if I'm going to fail, because I feel like home is the space where I can do that, if that makes sense. Out in these streets, it's like I got on the full armor, if I'm putting it on correctly. Because I gotta be what I'm always saying. I gotta be what I say I am, but I am what I be. So I'm not saying anything different than what I am. That's like I want to emanate. And I realize that like, well, why am I doing this thing at home? Because even me explaining to you what it is now is like, oh, I've created this thing. Kareem's real good at telling me like, what story are you creating right now?
That's good.
What
Yeah.
story are you creating? And I'd be like, and me being me, well, what story are you creating right now? So it's like, okay, but I have to take not only, what's the word? Extreme
Ownership.
accountability and responsibility
Yeah.
for myself and my actions.
I feel that.
I was reading Arete this morning, and it was the chapter about extreme leadership, or pretty much. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. They did a thing where they put
The Marines, the Marine one,
the Navy SEALs. Yep.
Yeah, the SEALs. Yep.
Yep. They were doing the test. They had 6 teams doing the test, and one team was always coming in last place. One team was always coming in first place. And so what they did was they took the leader from the first place team and put him on the last place team. Guess what happened? The last place team started winning. First place team started losing. So again, in order to be a leader, not only of myself, but of the household, I have to take that accountability. I can't do this tit for tat thing or this, well, you and I have to just, if my house does not feel in order, I'm taking responsibility for that.
Yeah.
So
there's a book that we go ahead. I'm sorry, I missed that. Say again.
Oh no, I was just saying. So these the words that we're using are very important. So we don't even want to operate in blame. That takes us somewhere else too, just out of that frequency. But go ahead, Trey.
Yeah, blame and the finger pointing. There's another book that we may get to. It's called Extreme Ownership. That talks a lot about that. Like, hey, take it all. Like, you got to own the story that you're telling yourself. But also, I think when I was doing some quick counseling to some couples, one of the things I kept reminding was like, hey, don't forget that your vows are your vows. They're not conditional vows. I've never heard you go to a wedding and they'd be like, so do you if he, do you if she. It don't say that. He's asking, the facilitator, officiator is asking you, do you vow? And he's asking you, do you vow? That's it.
Right.
He not say it don't say if, then, because it don't say none of that. And I think that's the key part about us taking on ownership of our own vows and the words that we say that we're going to do. The promises that we've made, the beliefs that we say that we have, the values that we say that we want to hold on to and portray and put out in the world. We got to hold on to it. Otherwise, it becomes real chaos. Now, here's what I saw. Being impeccable with our word was really, really, he starts talking about this belief, but he also kind of hints to confidence and ability. Right, in the same section. And so I started immediately going, like, when you start to because you start fibbing to yourself. I started reading, got into it, and I was like, goes back to confidence.
Okay.
Right. So a lot of times I wonder if we're not following this agreement, if we're not being impeccable with our word, I wonder how many times have we lied to ourselves? And the more that we lie to ourselves or break the agreement with ourselves, hey, I'm never going to do that again, or I don't want to do that, or I don't even like that, or whatever it is, and you do something the opposite, psychologically, that has to be creating a lot of dissonance and a lot of conflict within you. And so your body and your mind don't even agree, because what you say is not what you do. So when it comes down to now moving forward in a space, or in some new direction, the confidence is not there because of all the times that you actually were not impeccable with your word with yourself, right? If you're not impeccable with the word within yourself, how do you actually, I think it's going to be a little troubling and challenging to believe yourself to be able to do something in the future.
Yeah.
So, because all it's doing is just, your mind is just pulling back memories. Well, last time you said, well, you said this last time, then they just keep pulling all those things. And I think that's what is killing confidence. And what I also like, he said, you can start today. You right here, starting today, you can be impeccable with your word. Start whatever you say you're going to do. And I think once you start to do that, I think that's where I think a lot of us, and I know for me as well, that's where a lot of confidence lies. You know, I can look back at the track record. I can also ignore the stuff that I didn't do as well and be like, okay, starting today, let's do it better.
Yep.
Yeah,
man. That's great because they get into, and in that he talks about how gossip, has become the main form of communication in human society. And you know what? I got a friend that's our friendship. We just gossip about it. And I'm like, wow. But my goal in it is always to say, because what they say, small minds talk about people. Good minds talk about things, and great minds talk about ideas. And so when I hear that, I'm like, ooh, I like that idea. But what happen is I notice we will start on a situation. So anything in the media can come out there. You can say what Jay-Z said at the Grammys the other day, right? You can have your positives, negatives, or whatever you want.
He had his Kanye moment. Moment.
He was saying, yay, this is the way you do this, yay. That's what he was saying. This is, now we're in, right.
It was good. Keep going. But I was like, oh.
Right. But Jay finally did what he wanted. Anyway, so he does this thing. We are right now in that sphere of what gossip can do. And so then what'll happen is I say, well, if it was me, I'm wondering da. And then it's like we extract from the manifested reality. So it starts in the physical, and then it's a liberating energy. Right now is what's happening when gossip occurs, is what for me at least, because people will catch that, oh, he ain't trying to talk about that person, or like, oh, they might be friends, or let's just change the subject because I'm not about to be judging folks because it's so easy to do that. Now I recognize I'm really talking about me about something. I'm just seeing a piece of me in someone else, and I got to give them grace because I have to give myself grace.
Yeah. You know what I also hear in that too is when we talk about gossip is I immediately imagine somebody picking up their little tea and you're like, you know what I heard?
Right.
You know what I heard? And just by even thinking, listen to the words, you know what I heard? The conversation is already centered, not in the present, definitely not in the future, but it's something in the past. Right. It's something that you've heard and you bring it into the present. And I think that's important as well. You caught that? You caught it.
Yeah.
It's like it's I heard this and I'm bringing it here. Yeah, well, that got to do with us. So let's keep it moving. And it just seeps into so many different places. And I think about, so here's the thing, TMZ doesn't have, I think they may even have their own channel now.
I think they do.
But it's so much. Have you watched, man?
Uh-oh.
News is trash right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at headlines and the clickbait, and it says something like, "Did you hear?" It's stuff like, "Did you hear what's?" Basically, when you read the article, and it's like, "So and so said this about so and so." I'm reading Sports Illustrated, right, and somebody wrote one of the people that's in Colorado wrote an article about Deion Sanders.
Oh, here we go.
And like, did you hear about this? And then that was the clickbait. I jumped in, started reading, and I was like, so y'all reported on the things that he said. I was like, I didn't know that was real journalism. Like, you literally are just reporting on something that you read that was written by somebody else and giving a synopsis, and that's your news. That's your contribution. You don't bring any different insights. You summarize it, and go for it. And it's like, and then it's another times it's just like, did you hear? Somebody made a comment over here about this, and we will make whole stories about a tweet.
About something this small. Yeah.
It was a tweet. They didn't have a conversation. It was one tweet, and now it's a full article. And they start talking about the man's background, the woman's background. It's just like, what just happened here?
So I'm probably gossiping now, but let me just say it's the thing where Prime, because there was an article that I think we might be talking about the same article.
Okay.
He said, now what they took what he said about the O-line, which is that they can get better. Mm-hmm. Right? I think he might have said it like that. But before he said that, he talked about all the good things the O-line had done.
Absolutely.
And all the good things about his team.
Yes.
And it was an aside what he said.
Yes.
But the way they reported it as if that was the main point behind what he was saying. And I thought that was ingenuine. And so I went and then I had, because I don't never comment on them things. So I went in and put the whole, look, watch that, y'all.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's what people want. I think people want to hear that part. And that's what we got to do in life. It's the small things that happen to us. Like, I had a situation where my daughter I might have said this in the last one, so stop me if I'm saying the same thing. But the long story short was she wanted me to help her to direct a play.
Oh yeah, we talked about it. Maybe we talked about it. I don't think it was on. It may have not been on the podcast though.
Oh, okay. She wants me to direct the play. I have to go through all these channels to get to direct the play. Now I want to get paid to do it though. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, that's the byproduct. So long story short is I'm now helping to direct the play. But through all the avenues, there were things that happened. People said this, people said that, some lies in there, maybe some miscommunications in there. But at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what? People are people. Humans are humans. We're going to be all right. I'm here to direct.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That leads us into agreement too, though, that don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
Because how people are responding is based upon where they are.
All right. So this was agreement 1. Be impeccable with your word. Next week, we'll talk about the second agreement. Don't take anything personally. Thank you for tuning in to As a Man Readeth. I'm Goolsby.
Straight D. We want y'all to be well.
Read them up.
Keep on reading. Peace, y'all.